Hi everyone, I'm Carey Gatto with Keller Williams Realty, and today on Let's Get Down to Business, I'm actually turning it around and I'll be interviewed by Evan Martin, who is one of my prior interviewees, and he does this for his business. He does Zoom interviews and meetings, and so I thought he'd be the perfect person to interview me today. So thank you so much, Evan, for doing this.
Thank you very much for having me. And it's a pleasure as always. It's really cool how this came together. Of course, you reached out to me initially to do the interview, and I just appreciate the fact that we've had the opportunity to get to know each other a little bit better and to get to the point to where we've done some work together and that you're comfortable to ask me to come on here and return the favor, which is really something that's very cool. And that's what this is all about, building a network and growing with people. And that's clearly what we're both all about. So I'm thankful for that. So first of all, I have a question for you about your business. How did you get started doing what you're doing?
Yeah, so actually, motherhood propelled me into entrepreneurship because after having my first son, our first son, Benjamin, I realized that working for someone else and being at the beck and call of an employer wasn't going to work for me anymore. And I really wanted to get into business for myself and be able to adjust my schedule as my baby or my family needed, and also to have the ability to have some control over my destiny, to feel like the work I was doing, the hard work I was putting into my job was going to be fruitful. And I would see the results of what I was doing rather than giving my all to an employer and never really seeing, a proportionate return on it. So I got out of my previous career, which was filmmaking actually in LA, and moved cross country with my husband and my 1 year old son. He was almost one at the time. And we moved back to Boston, where our families are, located, and took the real estate exam in a weekend. Sorry, took the course in a weekend and then took the exam the following week. And right after that, in the new year, 2011, started off in business. And I should mention too that my father inspired me a lot too. Both my parents are real estate investors, and my father had introduced me to a book by Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is a real classic and really changed my perspective on, instead of giving time for money, which is the old model, the book is about creating value instead as a business owner or an investor, and receiving compensation for value rather than just hours, like clocking in, clocking out. So that was a real game changer for me. So that's what got me started.
That is very interesting. At the beginning of that, you mentioned results. I mean, that is like the biggest thing when it comes to business. So of course, results play a huge part. And that brings me to my next question is what inspires you to do what you do?
Yeah, so actually, it is, I think what inspires me about real estate, it goes back to, why I got started. And it's all about the investment side of it for me, because I've seen how, people, regardless of their background or their education or their profession or anything else in their life, they can build wealth through real estate. And that's important because it allows them to do more of what they love. It allows them to follow their passions and give more of their gifts to the world. So I've just seen that happen. It just lights me up so much to think that there's all that possibility out there. And anyone who learns a few things about real estate investing and puts in the work and does what needs to be done can have that, potential outcome. And of course, I don't just work with investors. I work with buyers and sellers of, primary residences. But I always bring that kind of investment-minded approach because anytime there's a transaction in real estate, whether it's a purchase or a sale, there's a way of creating that value, that's aside from the time put in. It's just value that could be added, whether you're purchasing your first property and certain things you can do as a buyer to make sure that you're not paying too much, or if you're selling, there are ways that you can make sure that you're getting all the equity that could be potentially in that home. There's always things you can do. So I look at each transaction as part of that bigger picture of a journey of financial security, financial independence, or whatever the goal is for that client.
Oh, that's great. And we all know that no matter what side of the process you're on, it can be overwhelming at times. So it's of course very important to have the right people in the right place to be able to guide you, and that have the information and the education and the experience to be able to take that overwhelming load off and to make it easy and fun, right? That's what it's really all about. So that's wonderful. And what's your favorite part of the job?
Yeah, so the day-to-day job, honestly, it's meeting people. I really enjoy, that I don't have to be by myself in an office all day. I can get out and meet people of all different, backgrounds, professions, and ages, and it's just fun to be out in the community and making connections and building relationships and getting a little window into people's lives and finding out what's important to them. And like you said, it's a very emotional process a lot of times, buying or selling a home. So it's nice to be that shoulder they can lean into and help them during that process, which could be very stressful. But I try to always coach and educate and reduce the stress as much as possible every step of the way. But I just love that interactive aspect of it and being a little part of their story, I guess.
Probably a big part of their story in most cases. And the fact that it is about, meeting people and growing, I guess that's going to lead me to my next question and about community. Why did you decide to start this community platform?
Yeah. So basically, again, because that is my favorite part of the job is connecting, and also I find other entrepreneurs very fascinating, because I love hearing about like why they do what they do, what inspires them, what motivates them, what is the story behind their brand, behind their business. And so this just seemed like a natural way to kind of leverage the networking I was already doing, and at the same time adding value to my community, because now they get to see all these talented and gifted professionals that are in their midst that they may not otherwise have been aware of. So it's kind of like, I always love when one thing can serve two purposes. So it's
Mhm.
great for a venue for me to meet people and be more connected. And well, actually, it's three things because I'm providing them a platform too, right? And then on the other side, allowing the community to be able to have access to these brilliant people and businesses that are in their area.
Yeah, I guess we're a good example as to why you started that platform, because of the relationship that we've been able to build and the opportunities that we've already been able to share together. And I know that when you are someone like you who has a family and is working very hard, and of course real estate could be an around the clock type of a program, it's just great to have that platform also to make up for the time that you used to spend, or that people like to spend getting to meet new people. And it's just in a different way, but it's just a wonderful way because you really get to learn about a lot about people and find people and grow your network. And that's really a nice thing that you're doing. Now, what do you love about the areas that you serve?
Yeah, so I chose to start my business in Somerville, because I just am really drawn to like the vibrancy and the diversity of that city. It's kind of
I
on the
lived there
cusp.
for a couple of years, by the way. Sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
Yeah, you know.
Very cool
It's,
spot.
it's it's like on the cusp of city and suburban, um, and there's just a lot of like creativity and this artsy vibe going on that I'm really drawn to. And I find like the diversity really refreshing and exciting. And there's just always things going on, events, things like that. Things everyone loves about Somerville. So, and then of course it's kind of expanded. My business has expanded from there, and I've really enjoyed learning about all the areas in, greater Boston, as my database has kind of moved around. So it's been really fun exploring all the nooks and crannies and towns and cities in this area. They all have a special, unique feel, but Somerville always has my heart. I just love it.
That's great. So as you continue to grow into different cities and grow your network and everything else, what are your goals for the year ahead?
Yeah, that's a great question. I usually have very concrete goals, and I know my broker probably won't like me saying this, but this year I kind of don't have super concrete goals. My goal, though, is to have more fun in my business and find ways like Park Bench to, integrate community and business and, ways of serving people that I actually enjoy. And so it doesn't feel like such a grind because at times it certainly has, in real estate, we have to create our own leads all the time. And so, there was a time when I would cold call all day or knock on doors all day. And I'm kind of over that. So now I'm just looking for ways to, just to connect with people on a more meaningful level, to have more meaningful conversations. And I just really love that. One thing I did was I started a spiritual women book club, and I've really been enjoying those kinds of conversations, But yeah, for me, it's just kind of like, how can I make my business feel more like play than work? And that way, I feel like I'm winning. So that's kind of where I
That's
am right
great.
now.
Awesome. So now a little bit about you. Besides your work, what are some of the things that you love to do?
Um, Gosh, I have three kids now, so usually when I'm not working, I'm hanging out with them, exploring, taking our dog for a walk in the fells. Um, my parents and my sister live locally too, so I spend a lot of time hanging out with them. Going to the beach in the summer is definitely like top, and I love traveling as much as I can and showing my kids kind of like all there is to see in the world and different cultures and things like that is one of my favorite things too.
Oh, that's really beautiful. And how about contact information? What's the best way for folks to contact you?
I'd love a phone call. You can always call me on my cell,
The old
617
fashioned way.
And that's really the best way to call me, or you can shoot me an email at Carey, Carey, team, TEAMCG at gmail.com. And I will get back to you.
Perfect. And I'm sure a lot of this information will be up and around this video, hopefully. So it'll make it easy for them if they didn't
Sure.
get all that. But at the end of the day, I just want to once again just thank you for taking the time and for asking me to come here to do this with you. It's always a pleasure chatting with you. And is there anything left that you'd like to say to the folks that are watching?
I'd just like to say thank you so much for watching. It means a lot that you took the time out of your day. And I'm really grateful to be able to share a little bit more about what I do and why I do it. And thank you, Evan. Really appreciate your time.
My pleasure. So that concludes our interview. Bravo. Until next time, take care. Thank you.
Thanks.